March is Women's History Month, and we can't celebrate women in animation without talking to the first woman to ever win an Academy Award for directing an animated feature. Please say hello right now to Brenda Chapman. Hello, Brenda.
Hello.
Brenda, this is very exciting. You were the first woman to take home an Oscar for Best Animated Feature Film for directing the movie Brave. How did that feel?
It was crazy exciting. I was there with my daughter, and so it was really, really amazing for me to be able to go up on stage and kind of tell the world that the movie was inspired by her, and it was my love letter to her.
Oh, so cool. Now, you said it was inspired by your daughter. What specifically inspired that movie from her?
Well, when I started at Pixar, she was about 4 years old, and I was driving into work every day, but I had to get her ready for preschool. And she was just such a little person that just questioned everything that I thought, I have to put this in my creative zone. I have to do something with this because it's just filling me up. And so that's kind of how Merida was born, because I kept thinking, if she's like this at 4, what's she going to be like as a teenager? And so there she is.
Prior to Pixar, you worked at Disney, correct? What films did you work on there?
I worked in story mostly at Disney, and Little Mermaid was my first feature animated film. Rescuers Down Under, Beauty and the Beast. I was head of story on The Lion King. I worked on Hunchback of Notre Dame, as well as Fantasia 2000.
When you were a young girl, was this a vision to you? Did you say to yourself, someday I could achieve all this, or was it just unheard of when you were a little girl?
Oh, yeah, I didn't have a clue that I could do this when I was a little girl. I just loved to draw. I drew all the time. I go to school, I come home every day after school and watch Bugs Bunny and all the Tex Avery stuff. But what I really loved were the Disney films. I still remember seeing Cinderella for the first time in the theater, and I was just blown away.
Brenda, back then, they were on a rotating schedule of every 7 or 8 years with the Disney classics. So if you missed it, you had to wait nearly a decade to see it again, right?
That's right. It was a real treat to, know that one was coming out. You really looked forward to it.
When you worked over at DreamWorks, you became the first woman to direct an animated film for the studio. What was that like?
To be honest, my career wasn't about being the first woman to do anything. I was a story artist at Disney and was just part of the team. And then when I went over to DreamWorks, I was directing, doing what I was loving doing, trying to create a film.
You did mention, of course, being inspired by Bugs Bunny and Tex Avery and, of course, the Disney classics. But how did you segue into being a director then? I mean, how did that happen?
I had gone over to DreamWorks and was planning on heading up the story department, and because I love making up stories. I love figuring out the puzzle of stories. But Jeffrey Katzenberg really wanted me to direct, and so he sort of pushed me in that direction. And so I finally gave in, and I'm really glad I did. I had a great time.
This will seem like a trick question, Brenda, but it is not. What is your favorite animated film of all time? And I say that because it doesn't have to be one that you've worked on, but if it is, that's fine.
Well, I have so many, but I have to say most likely Cinderella. That touched me so much when I was a little girl. It's just stayed in my heart all these years. That character has so much resilience.
What advice would you give to young people who might be thinking about a career in animation?
When you're going out to look for what you want, you have to ask for it. You can't just expect, okay, I'm a really good drawer, so give me a job. You have to say what it is you want. Do you want to draw the characters? Do you want to paint the backgrounds? Do you want to build the characters in the computer? What is it that you want to do? And go for it. Or you reach out to a mentor and say, I need help with something. So you just have to be proactive.
Since you mentioned computer animation, I'm curious, most of the projects you've worked on have been animation the old-fashioned way. Most of the cartoons we show here on Toon In With Me are hand-drawn as well. What are your thoughts about computer animation?
I think it's a great genre. It's a great way to do a lot of fancy camera moves and all of that. But my heart is still very much with traditional animation and all the imperfections and the fun and the craziness you can have.
Well, Brenda, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. We really enjoyed it. Hope you did too. Thank you for sharing your journey in animation with us.